What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, The Misplaced American. I am your host, Justin White. I have another guest this week via Zoom call. It's been a lifesaver since this lockdown started. But his name is Scott Hardiman, and he's actually a confidence coach. He coaches people in to overcoming anxiety and reaching their goals, which is super important right now with everything going on. I don't want to give away too much. You just got to listen to this man talk. He inspired me and definitely kind of helped me out even when I didn't even think I needed help. So I definitely think some people will benefit from this. If you listen to the end, he has a very good offer for you. All his information will be in my bios or in the details or in the postings. So check me out, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and yeah, enjoy. So
How are you, by the way? Just
I'm
before
good,
we get into
man.
it, how are you? Are you doing good?
Yeah, I'm surviving this mess.
I know, right?
How's everything going for you?
That's, yeah, it's going good. We're obviously at home, so we got lucky. We got a garden and stuff to get out and um, enjoy the sunshine because it's typical that it's sunny. But yeah, it's going good. I quite like being at home, doing all right.
But yeah, let's let me introduce yourself for people who aren't aware of who you are.
Cool. Yes. So I first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me. To be honest, that's really nice of you.
Oh, no
Um,
problem.
I'm yeah, I'm Scott. I'm a coach, and I help people and business owners and entrepreneurs overcome their anxieties and build up their confidence, so their goals and their dreams can essentially become a reality. And I suppose I've been in the coaching world for about 5 years, and started my journey as a coach, training people to improve their physical health and become fitter and healthier. So I was a personal trainer, and
Oh,
then I found a lot of what I was doing was I was helping people through their kind of anxiety and building up their confidence, not just in the gym, but actually in their outside life and their work life as well.
wow. So this started off as something like a normal job, like I was personal training, and then one day you decided is this like a volunteer thing for you, or is it something you actually get paid to uh do what you do?
Yeah, I get paid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I just want to be sure. But I don't think I've ever actually come across. So is this like, or do you still personal train as well, or is this just mainly helping people with, I guess, overcoming mental like barriers?
Yeah, I do. I do personal training as well. It's something that I'm really passionate about as well.
Okay.
So I do try and keep in touch with it. But my main focus is mindset and improving people's life, so they don't feel anxious and they feel confident in themselves. Because being confident and not being anxious is, in my view, the key to having a fulfilling life and a happy life. We don't want to be restricted by these negative feelings and emotions. So yeah, I'm hugely passionate about it. It was something that I kind of transitioned into from being a personal trainer, because I found that a lot of people needed it, and because of my own personal struggles as well. It was an ideal thing for me to go into, and I actually love it.
So have you? So I guess with you saying that, have you like noticed more of a increase in like its need for? Because I guess you could do this over like a Skype call or a Zoom call with people, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I do it. That's what I do, especially at the moment with everything that's going on. I do a lot of online work. So before this, the pandemic happened, I was doing a lot of Zoom calls and coaching calls. Um, but since the pandemic, everything I'm doing is online. So yeah, it's definitely I quite like it, and my clients get good results still as well.
Yeah, I do think it's a lot easier to open up to someone you can't see face to face, if that makes sense. That in my head, like I'm a lot more. If I'm with someone in a room and telling them how I feel about something, I'm gonna keep feeding off their expression. So if they give me like a weird face, I'm like, oh my god, I'm weird. But yeah, if I'm over like a Skype call or something, I can just open, like kind of like the whole. I'm not sure if you watched the Love Is Blind show on Netflix, but kind of like the
Yes.
whole pod idea. If you can't see the person and you can't feedback off their reactions, you have to go solely off what they say. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I do think me personally, I'd enjoy uh, things like this over a call rather than face to face. But that's just me. So yeah, how long have you actually been in this? Like as far as I know, you're a person trained for a while, but how long have you actually done this? This is actual confidence coach, I think you call it.
Well, yeah, I've been doing this about a year now. It's difficult because I say that officially I've been doing it a year, but if I count the amount of confidence coaching clients that I've had within the fitness world, I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. So it's something I've been continually doing, but piling all my effort into it about a year. Yeah, so it's great. I really really love it.
Is this something you just kind of came up with yourself, or is this like a class you went to school for and got a degree or a certification, and then came back and putting that into like use?
Yeah, so coaching is different to therapy.
Right.
You don't need necessarily any qualifications, but it is wise to train in coaching. So with coaching, there's a very specific way of asking questions and getting extracting information from the person that you are helping, because essentially we all have the answers within us. It's about asking ourselves the right questions to enable us to find those answers. And that's what a coach does, tactical questioning to extract that information. So yeah, I did a lot of studying. I've piled myself into a lot of books. I've done a lot of online courses, and I also trained in neuro-linguistic programming, which in short NLP, and it's a mindset way of working with the client,
Okay.
and it works really well to sort of bring out the best in them and improve their life.
Oh wow. So this is actually like I'd say a lot of personal search you've done, and then just kind of just put it into use. That's really cool. I like that. So have you? I guess have you seen more? I guess I'm not trying to get into your clients, but have you noticed more of a weightlifter? Well, since you've like I said done personal training, have you noticed more of I guess of people in the gym need more I guess help overcoming anxiety issues than you would like casual gym goer over like a non-casual gym goer? Like, have you noticed higher in one or the other when it comes to like anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, I think the person that hasn't been in the gym very much feels very self-conscious and they start to doubt whether they're actually going to fit in that environment. But you also see it with people that have been going a long time. It's not just the gym that makes them feel anxious or low in confidence. They're the things that go on in outside of their life. So yeah, I definitely see a mixture of both, but naturally more so with people that are new to the gym, and things like that. Yeah.
See, when you say anxiety, because I think for me, because I get anxiety while lifting. I'm a power lifter, so if I become before a lift, I'll walk into the gym and I'll immediately get into my head and I'm like, okay, I need to do this. If I don't do this, I'm gonna suck, and people are gonna judge me. Everyone's gonna watch me, and then I just go into this deep hole of constantly thinking about someone's gonna watch me. Someone's gonna be like judging me. If I don't get this lift, like everyone's gonna think I'm weak, or if I if I don't move this properly, someone's gonna judge the way I do this and record me and put me on the internet. And so I'm always like almost beating myself up right before a lift. And then I'll sit there and I have to calm myself down right before the lift. Otherwise I'll like almost throw up before before lifting weights in the gym.
That's a tough one because there's a fine line between being anxious and being nervous. But if that's enabling you to go in and do a good lift, and it's not over the top, then it might be a good thing for you. But if your anxiety is creating lots of criticism and actually affecting your performance, then definitely that's something you can work on. It's kind of understanding that being self-critical and doubting of yourself, it can be a slight positive, because if you doubt, it allows you to question and then work on the things that you need to work on. But if you let that self-doubt go out of control and take a line of its own, then it can squash your confidence. Does that make sense?
Okay. I guess another question would be for me. So obviously I'm American and moving. Sorry, I have a child crying in the background. I'm American and coming over here. I talk to a lot of people and everyone tells me, like, oh, have you ever been? I ask people, have you ever been to America? What's your favorite part of America? And a lot of my friends have told me, oh, I don't really want to go to America. I've never been. And I asked why, and they told me, oh, it just kind of scares me that uh, I might get shot, or it kind of scares me that I'm going to get like mugged or hit by a gang or something. And so I guess have you ever encountered people who are afraid, not just maybe to America, but just travel in general? Have you ever encountered people who are just nervous about traveling, or you have to like kind of talk people off the ledge when it comes to traveling, or even taking like trips from like their house to, even Wales or like Edinburgh in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've definitely worked with people that do that. I mean, it's where travel anxiety or, taking yourself out of your comfort zone or something that you're used to is definitely challenging. But for most of my experience, it's because they're focused on what could happen and run it through their mind with such intensity that it can actually create an anxiety that isn't there and that hasn't happened. So our mind is like powerful, right? And the reason we feel anxiety is because we're either reliving the past experiences we've had that haven't been very nice, or we're focusing on the future. We're focusing so far in the future, we're imagining it, even though it hasn't happened. And if we're imagining it to be negative and traveling is going to be, get shot in America, even though it's not happened, we're creating this anxiety. So when we actually go into that place, it it gets worse. And that it's not helpful. So it takes us away from being in the present moment. So when we look into the future of traveling, if the thought process isn't helpful, when we rehearse that in our mind over and over again, when we actually get into that situation, our mind goes, "Whoa, this isn't comfortable. You don't like this. We've been here before. We need to get
Right.
out of it, and we're going to fight or flight." Whereas if you don't do that, and if you imagine yourself going on holiday, having a great time, not getting shot,
Yeah.
and enjoying yourself and enjoying the sunshine and going in the pool and seeing lots of different places. When you go into that situation, and my mind goes, "Cool, been here, comfortable, let's crack on, let's have a good time."
So do you ever have, or have you ever noticed you have any, I guess, minor travel anxieties? Like even something minute as, man, this plane ride's kind of shaky. Let me, let me calm, like doing some of your exercises to calm yourself down.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're human beings. It's kind of that kind of oh, what's happening here? And you start to question, "Oh, I hope we're going to be okay." But then you just got to bring yourself back to the present moment and go, right, where are we now? Okay, we're on a plane. There's not much we can do. The chances are, if we've got a little bit of turbulence, then it will sort itself out in a minute. But if we start to think, "Oh, the turbulence is bad, we're gonna crash," oh no, no wonder the anxiety is going to get worse. But if you live in the present moment and think, right, what's happening now? It's a bit uncomfortable. There's not much I can do about it, so I'm just going to do what I can and think positively and be happy, and then it will pass. And when we think like that, it's a lot more powerful, a lot more helpful than thinking, oh no, we're going to die.
So does
Does
this
that make
like,
sense?
yeah? So does this like, do you ever, I guess, because you help so many people, I guess a day or a week or in a month even, and you're constantly helping people and giving, like, I guess, giving yourself like out to people, just kind of like giving them advice or just guiding them in the right direction. Does that ever, like, I guess, affect you in a way? Like, I guess mentally, like, at the end of the day, you're just kind of, you're too mentally tired to almost do what you have to do because you've just given so much of yourself throughout the day.
Well, I suppose I get tired like anyone else, but I suppose what's happened with me in the past is that not too long ago, um, I had anxiety really badly. So when I was sort of coaching in the fitness world, I had it really badly, and it was kind of the second time it happened to me because I had it when I was a lot younger, and it was just this feeling of, oh, I just couldn't live life the way I wanted to. I couldn't get it under control. I tried something called hypnotherapy. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it helped me the first time I experienced anxiety, and it was really helpful for me. But I was young, and what I didn't do is I didn't work with the tools that it enabled me to do. I didn't work with the tools that I had to keep that mindset, and then it hit me again. And what happens is that you're in a kind of a higher state of alert, and your mind doesn't relax, and everything's a threat. And when you're like that, nothing is going to go well for you. And the second time I tried lots of different things. I tried hypnotherapy again, it didn't work because I was in such a high state of alert. My mind couldn't relax, and there was no way that that was going to work for me. And I hit a really, really low place, and panic attack after panic attack. And I thought, no, this is it now. I hit a very, very low point. I've got to change
Yeah.
what I'm experiencing. And I piled myself into books. I got fascinated with the subject. I piled all my energy into taking myself out of the hole that I was in. I did courses, like I said, I trained in NLP, and I took myself out of that hole and developed a way to do it, not just for myself, but for other people. So yes, I feel tired sometimes, but I don't ever get to that point anymore because I've been through it and I've developed a strategy to get myself out of it. I just utilize that. And if I feel I know my mind as well as I know my body now. So if I feel like I'm getting a little bit tired or I could be a bit overwhelmed, then I notice it. And all of the tools that I've got enable me to nip it in the butt and it doesn't get out of control.
That's yeah. See, I used to do the kind of something similar because I had, when I was in the military, they diagnosed me with anxiety, and as a child, I kind of thought I had issues with it, but I didn't know coming from the community I was growing up. It's not mental health isn't something that's normally brought up where I'm from. It's just kind of toughen up, get over it. You're just being sensitive. And so as I got older, I started understanding what anxiety was, what depression was, and things of that sort. And so when I was in the military, I remember I would be in crowds of people and just talking, and out of nowhere, I felt like the walls were closing in. I started shaking. I was breaking the sweats, and all my friends were asking me was I okay? And I remember walking out of a room and going to my dorm room and just kind of sitting there crying, and I had no idea why I was crying. And one of my friends walked in, and she's like, "Oh, did you just have a panic attack?" And I was like, "What's a, what's a panic attack?" That's something I never heard of. And so they kind of taught me and coerced me into going to see a mental health specialist. And yeah, they diagnosed me with anxiety. So throughout my whole military career, I was constantly just battling ups and downs with, being in the Air Force, traveling across the world, and then going somewhere, and then feeling like I couldn't breathe. So I'd be out traveling in, I would say like Croatia, and all my friends were drinking and partying, having a good time, and we'd be out in the club, and all of a sudden, I felt like everything just closed in, and I was like my chest was getting heavy, and I was like, oh my God, not right now. And then it's like the more I thought about it, the worse it got, because I couldn't think past, okay, it's gonna be a couple minutes, you'll be fine. All I could think was, oh my God, I'm gonna die, I can't breathe. And it took me to sit myself down and tell me, like, if you couldn't breathe, you wouldn't be alive. Just breathe, think about, and something that helped me was I count my toes and count my fingers continuously until I calm down. And it's not the weirdest thing in the world, but I found that for some reason that helped me. Like I'll tap my toes and count one by one, all my toes, all my fingers, and then count in the circle until I calm myself down.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. I mean, and this is exactly what we shouldn't have to go through things like that and not know how to get through it. And it's about having that structure. Counting your toes, basically what you've done there is you've changed your focus. And a lot of what we do is changing our focus. It will make us 10 times better. If we are anxious and we are depressed and we're not feeling good and we're stressed, look at where we're focused. And the chances are that we're focusing on that anxiety and that stress. Whereas if we change our focus and change our physiology, because that's got a super important attribute, is you change your physiology, change your focus, and like you said, you start counting your fingers, you change your focus from being anxious to counting, and your mind then can't pay attention to the anxiety, but it's paying attention to something else, and then you calm down, and then it goes away slightly.
See, I could have used someone like this when I was growing up. This would have been helpful information. I will say, since I moved to the UK, I've gotten out of the military and moved in 2017, and I moved to the UK that year. And I will say that was probably since I've been here, maybe I don't have many anxiety attacks. I think when I first moved here, it was a thing because it was just such a, it's because everything's so small here compared to everywhere else I've been in my whole life. And so everything was super tiny, and I just kind of a culture shock for that. But then I guess coming here and then walking into like, I guess, a bar, and then kind of like someone said something like along the lines of, "Oh, this is a bad area. Some guy got stabbed in the head here last week." And and me hearing that, like me being like the over panicky person, I was like, "Excuse me," and everyone kept telling me like, "Oh, you draw attention because you're the only black guy in the room." So all I could think was, I was like, "Oh, here we go. I'm the attention grabber. Some guy's gonna stab me in the head because I'm the only black guy in the room." And so, but yeah, so since I've been here, I would say like I think I've had maybe three true panic attacks. I think that people here in the UK are a lot more aware of, I guess, anxiety, because a lot of people I talked to, I told about it, And someone was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. I have panic attacks too. I have panic attacks as well. I see a therapist, or I talk to someone as well." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's interesting." Because again, where I'm from, like if you say, "Oh, I'll go see a therapist," I'm like, "Oh, you're crazy." Or
Yeah,
I talk to someone for like I have a counselor or I have a coach, and they say they're like, "Oh well, you pay somebody to do that. You just get drunk and deal with it yourself." And so,
yeah. That's not the best way to do things.
yeah, no. I also found out drinking for me makes it a lot worse. So if I ever get to the moment where I'm feeling really down, I'll just kind of like stay away from the beer for like a couple of days or maybe a week or so.
This is what I wish I had a coach when I
Yeah,
was struggling, because um, it it really is the things that the coach can teach you, especially specializing in anxiety and confidence, is invaluable, because anxiety, we shouldn't have to feel the way that we feel. There are ways to help. Yeah, it will be difficult, more difficult for some people, but it will be easier for others. And it's about implementing these tools and techniques, and ways to changing your focus, being more present, practicing mindfulness. There are ways to do it, and challenging your beliefs. That's like kind of a number one, is what do you believe? Is it helpful? If it's not helpful, then why do you believe it? And changing them to something much more powerful. Like if you believe that you're just an anxious person, you're never going to overcome it, then your life will be in that line, because that's what you believe, and your mind's going to look for ways to reinforce that belief. Does that make sense?
wow, that's really good. I didn't think of it that way. Wow.
Yeah, whereas if you believe that you are capable and you can, whatever you're experiencing now, you can overcome, your mind is a tool, and it's going to go, right, cool. What can we do for you to make that happen? Because that's what you believe, and that's what we're going to help you achieve. As cheesy as that might sound.
Yeah. No, and sometimes you mean the cheesiest things make the most sense. Like it's as cliche as that sounds. Like sometimes it's cliche for a reason. Or it's cheesy for a reason. It helps. So I guess during this whole time of with people being isolated or having to quarantine in their houses, have you noticed, I guess, an increase in anxiety because now people have more time to be on their phones, look at social media, or look at the news, or look at postings or articles. Even as far as the current update last night, I was on a Zoom call and someone said, "Oh my God, Boris is in intensive care."
Mhm.
So, and then immediately I kind of I got into this like mode of like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like, if something happens to him, are they going to make this worse? Are we not allowed out of the house at all? Like, so like, have you noticed, I guess, an increase, there's a bit of maybe in the tension in the air or anxiety with your clients or people you work with since this whole lockdown has happened?
Yes, for sure. And I think whether that's because people are finding it easier to talk about, or whether um, they feel like it's time to talk about it. But yeah, definitely an increase. And with the pandemic, it brings a whole world of challenges, because it throws us out of our routine. And when we're out of our routine, it can be a huge shock to the system. And I I feel that because of what's happening, we're future thinking. We're thinking into the future. What could happen? Or we could be badly affected by it. It's going to affect my business. It's going to affect, naturally, we will think about these things. But if we continue to live in the future rather than the present, then we're going to feel anxious. And that is why I feel people are feeling anxiety and having those mental health troubles, is because they're really constantly concerned about what's going to happen, rather than just being like, where am I now? Well, I'm at home. I can maybe do some work at home. I can go for my one walk a day, and get some fresh air and get some exercise. And I can use this as an opportunity to maybe learn something I've been wanting to learn for a while, maybe meditation, or learning a certain skill that I've been putting on the back burner because I haven't had time. So yes, I'm seeing more people feeling anxious and struggling with their mental health, but that's because they're future thinking. And if they just bring themselves back to where they are at the moment, what they can control, then I think it will reduce that. And that's kind of why I'm reaching out to as many people as I can, because it's an important thing to tell them.
No, it definitely is. Like and no one's blaming anyone for being upset or nervous or like in this unsure time. Like, no one's gonna blame you for being like, anxious or upset because it's a like I said, like you said, it is a natural thing to be to think ahead, to worry. Just don't let it consume you. I guess,
Yeah.
and it's a like for me, I'm trying my best to like I said, I was a personal trainer. I worked at the gym like 1 or 2 days a week just to get out of the house because I am like a majority stay-at-home dad. And now I've become a full-time stay-at-home dad. So whereas my partner, she goes to work because she's like a key worker, so she works and then comes home. So she's gone majority of the day, and it's just me with a baby. And so all I can think is,
Mhm.
all I can think is, I have no normalcy. I'm stuck with this child who's I say stuck, but I'm with this child who normally goes to a nursery, learns things. She does all these creative things at school. I pick her up from the nursery, and they have all these amazing little artwork she does. Like today, Scarlett did this and she did this, and while she's home, I think I have 3 hours worth of activities to do. And then come like noon, I sit there and I'm like, here's a TV. I don't know what else to do. And I started feeling bad. I started feeling like a bad parent because I was like, oh, she's always at school learning stuff, and now she's gonna be behind all the other kids because I know all these other kids are probably learning things and writing and doing all these activities, and my child's just not. She's just watching Elmo on TV, you know. And so I started getting like I won't say anxious, almost like depressed because I felt like I was being a bad parent.
Yeah, don't, man, because there's all this expectation, this pressure to do X, Y, and Z, but you do what's right for you at this moment in time. We've got to find a way to cope with what's going on, and a few months is not going to make a massive difference to what happens with regards to school and everything like that. I think there's a big pressure on you must do this, you must do that, but actually, do what you need to do. Don't have that expectation to do certain things when actually what helps you is whatever it is that where helps you. For example, I noticed that a lot of people at the moment are using the word should. I should do this and I should do that.
Yeah.
But with the word should creates that expectation and that pressure to do something. Whereas actually, if you are anxious and if you are feeling a bit stressed and you do say, I should do this, stop, question it and go, well, do I want to do it? And if the answer is no, go and do something you want to do that can help you release that anxiety a bit and lift that fog from your head. And then go back to that thing that you should do. And maybe this time you'll want to do it. And it will just have a massive impact on the way you feel and the people around you feel.
So actually, so you're saying almost like just rephrasing how you live, I guess in a sense. Like so instead of saying this needs to get done, say, oh, I can do this later.
Put it this way: if you're not feeling in the best place at the moment, you're feeling a bit anxious and a bit tense and stressed, and you have got to go and do the washing up, and you go, oh, I should go and do the washing up, but you don't really want to do it, and you go, I should do it, and then when you don't do it, you feel like, oh, you've let yourself down. But just question it, and when you say I should go and do the washing up, go, well, hang on, do I want to? If the answer is no, at this moment in time, I don't want to. I want to go and sit down and read a book. I want to go and look at a YouTube video because that's going to make me feel better right now. Then go and do that. And then when you feel better, the chances are you'll go and want to do the washing up because you're in a better mindset.
Man,
Does that make sense?
I could have really used you in my life in multiple periods of my life. I will say that. Oh man, this is good. I almost like don't want it to end. But
There's
no,
so many.
I'm getting as much free advice as I can while I'm at it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many techniques that can be used to really just make us feel a bit more like, wow, this is cool. Like, relax. And if I implement these things over and over again, then I'll become confident that they work, and then my anxiety will reduce. Because so for example, let's say that mindfulness breathing, you're feeling anxious. You practice this mindfulness breathing technique, and in that moment, it reduces your anxiety. You then practice it once or twice a day, maybe 3 times a day for the week, and you become competent in that technique because you know that that works for you and you become really good at doing it. And when you become competent in something, your confidence increases. So if you become confident that that technique helps you with your anxiety, then naturally your anxiety is going to decrease because your mind knows that, hey, this breathing technique helps me reduce my anxiety. I know it works. I'm competent in it. Let's do it. And then in time, it will just relax you a little bit more.
So I guess what are some exercises or like something you could challenge people to do? All my listeners, who I guess are feeling kind of like trapped or anxious, stuck in the house, or just like not able to have the home gym like most people, like some people do, or their jobs are like in jeopardy, or they're not allowed to work. What are some I guess, exercises or challenges you could give someone that is suffering from, I guess, the anxious feeling of feeling stuck?
Sure, cool. Yeah, I was waiting for this question. I've got loads of stuff, but I haven't got enough time, man. So the first thing I would do is when we're going through self-isolation or being quarantined, then set up a new routine. Because when we come out of our routine, it's challenging. It's not what we're used to. We're running around like headless chickens most of the time. And if that comes to a standstill, we need to think, well, what was the set a new routine? And the best way to do that is to write down a few things that you want to do or that you wanted to do, but you haven't had the time because you've been running around like a headless chicken. And then put them in an order that makes sense. So, you wouldn't have going to sleep before meditation, but you'd have meditation before going to sleep. So that's a bit of an extreme example, but find out what the things that you want to do and you've wanted to do, but you haven't had the time. Then put them in an order that makes sense. And then find out whether you're a morning person or an evening person and try and fit them into your day and set a new routine. Because when you get into a routine, we like routines as human beings. We're creatures of habit. So if you've fallen out of a routine, find one and set one for yourself. Try a bit of meditation. I would highly recommend meditation for anxiety and de-stressing. It's kind of, like I said, I've been saying throughout, it really helps you come back to the present moment. And most of the time, the present moment isn't that bad. But when we start forward thinking, we start imagining what could happen and the negativity that might come of it. Because if we're anxious, then our thoughts are the majority of the time negative, then it increases our anxiety. So if you become more present, then it will reduce your anxiety. And I've got something you can use if you find yourself really not being very productive. You're just sitting down and thinking, oh, you know what, I'm feeling really lazy right now. You can try this. I call it the 5-second rule. Have you heard of this before?
No.
So the 5-second rule in the UK, a lot of it is pick up something from the floor. If it drops on the floor, you can eat it within 5 seconds, but it's not that. Basically, it helps you do things that you wouldn't normally do because you always give yourself excuses not to do. So I'll use the example of exercise. If you are sitting down and you go, oh, I really should exercise now. If you give yourself more than 5 seconds, our mind will give us lots of excuses and reasons not to do it.
Huh.
Whereas if we catch it within 5 seconds, the chances of doing that exercise and doing that thing increase dramatically. So a good way to do it is you have that thought, I really should do some exercise. You count down from 5. 5, 4, you stand up. 3, 2, you're walking towards your shoes. 2, 1, you're starting making that step towards exercising. And the reason that works is because, like I said, you're not giving your brain enough time to find excuses for you not to do it. And you count down because our mind knows that 0 is the end. And it knows that's it. Whereas if you count up, your mind knows you've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it will just prolong it. So then you can get to those excuses. So I would definitely recommend doing that if you're feeling like you aren't being very productive. You keep putting something off. When that thought comes in, count down from 5 and start taking action towards it.
5-second rule. That is probably the most useful thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't think I've ever heard of it though. I didn't know, because I didn't know that. Like, I guess you're right though.
Yeah,
because I'll sit there on the couch and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go in the garage and work out. And I'll sit there for a little bit and I'm like, all right. I'll sit up and think about it. I'm like, all right. Well, the dishes need to be cleaned. Laundry needs to get done. It's like I was like, oh, the dogs need to go for a walk. I'm like, oh man. And I could just work out later. And it's kind of
yeah. Whereas if you catch it, as soon as you get that thought, you go 5, 4, and you start taking action towards getting there, the chances of you doing it are massively increased.
You actually might get a client from this, but I'm not sure how much longer we have because I think it might end up cutting us off soon. So I do appreciate you talking to me, man. Super good information. This was more than I could have expected, honestly.
Good. I'm pleased, man. I'm pleased. And if anyone wants to reach out, then feel free. I've got my Instagram at Scott Hardiman Coaching, and I've literally just started a YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
Just as the quarantine started, I thought I need to help as many people as I can. So again, if you can just type in YouTube Scott Hardiman Coaching, and I'm trying to do a video every few days just to give as much help as I can when I can. But yeah, and also, if anyone has listened and they feel like they resonate with what I'm saying, I'd be happy to, because it's you, and I'll be happy to offer anyone that's listening a free session, if they wanted to, where we sort of spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes, to sort of diving deep into the way they feel and how I can help, and go from there. But that's up to them.
Man, that is awesome. I will definitely put all your information on all the links and posts I put up. I really appreciate you talking to me, man. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and hope the rest of this quarantine lockdown goes smooth and brings many clients for you. But I also hope everyone gets all the help they need and deserve.
Thanks, man. I wish you all the best.
Have a good one, man.